Are you serious? Are you serious, folks? Benjamin Netanyahu in Russia, as we told you, we've been reporting that this meeting would take place today. It has taken place moments ago. Putin hosted the meeting in Russia with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, and they focused on Syria. It was very warm, very cordial, actually. Russian President Vladimir Putin hosted Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu. They talked about the situation in Syria, Israeli concerns also about the role that Iran is playing there. And basically, there's two things. We have another report coming in right now. Let me put these together. Syrian forces are just a few weeks away from taking back Raqqa from ISIS with the help of U.S. Marines. U.S. Marines have been deployed, as well as Army Reserve units, and they're going to be helping the Syrian army. You heard me right. What? Yes. Obama fought the Syrian army and created this entire Arab Spring of this mess in the Middle East. Trump, without saying anything, just said he was going to crush ISIS, remember? But he's not going up in front of the podium. He's not saying anything. He's fighting with the Democrats, and he's over Obama wiretapping the Trump Tower. He's keeping the media occupied over here while he is systematically squeezing ISIS. Two things are going on. In Iraq, the United States Special Ops are helping the Iraqi forces take back Mosul, and they've got al-Baghdadi on the run, and he's hiding somewhere in the sand. That's what's happening there. While that's going on, U.S. Marines and Army reservists are going to be, the Marines have already deployed. They're going to be working with the Syrian forces. They are going to run ISIS out of Raqqa, and that is their main capital. Okay, that's Mosul and Raqqa. Those are the two strongholds, and Trump is going right after both of them simultaneously with a squeeze to try to eliminate ISIS. But to do it, he's working with the Iraqis and he's working with the Syrians. Now that means Russia has given him the blessing to do it. It means the Iranians have backed away. So this is why Benjamin Netanyahu is in Russia, because he wants to say, let's talk about this whole situation in Syria. He knows what Trump's doing. He already came to America. He got the plan from Trump. So now he's in Russia saying, okay, America's going to squeeze ISIS. They're going to crush ISIS. They're going to wipe them out. What's the plan with Iran? Okay. And so the greeting with Netanyahu at the start of their Kremlin negotiations, Putin emphasized a high level of trust between Russia and Israel. Netanyahu's visit to Moscow follows his talks last month with U.S. President Donald Trump. And Netanyahu praised Russia's role in fighting ISIS, the Islamic State, and other radical militants in Syria. But at the same time, he raised strong concerns about the presence of Iran and Hezbollah forces in Syria. Also, quote, one of the things that we are fighting together is radical Islamic terrorism, Netanyahu said, and he said Putin sat down for the talks. Of course, in the past year, there was significant progress in the fight against these radical Sunni Islamic terrorism led by ISIS and Al-Qaeda, and using the Arabic acronym Daesh to refer to the Islamic State or ISIS, Russia has made a very important contribution. Naturally, we do not want this terrorism to be replaced by radical Shiite Islamic terrorism led by Iran. Okay? They don't want Iran filling the void that's left over from the elimination of ISIS and the crushing of ISIS. And so Netanyahu's on top of this, making sure he wants the story. Now, Russia has sided with Iran and Hezbollah, both of radical Shiites, in helping support Syrian President Bashar Assad. But at the same time, it has maintained warm ties with Israel. So these two nations have coordinated their actions to prevent any possible incidents or accidents between their two militaries in Syria. And the threat of radical Shiite Islam threatens us no less than it does the region and the peace of the world. And I know that we are partners in the desire to prevent any kind of victory by radical Islam of any sort, says Netanyahu. So before the talks, Putin's spokesman denied media reports that Moscow has given Israel a green light to strike Hezbollah. They're saying, no, we never did that. But that could be huge. If you see the Israelis smacking Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, that could be because they did get the green light from Vladimir Putin. Man, this is war strategy going on right now, while the American media is trying to defend their former president, Obama, of the United States, trying to protect his reputation about the wiretapping of the Trump Tower. Trump doesn't care. Let the media do their little thing. Let them dance. Let Andrea Mitchell get, get all, and let Chris Matthews freak out every night, and let Rachel Maddow run around holding her head, and let all of the mainstream lanes, let Wolf Blitzer pull his beard out. Let them all freak out, because it doesn't matter to Trump. He's focusing on crushing ISIS, like he said. He's focusing on moving the U.S. Embassy to its capital where it belongs, in the capital of Israel, Jerusalem. He's focused on working quietly behind the scenes with the Russians to go ahead. Let's get rid of ISIS in Syria. And he's working with the Syrian army and working with the Iraqi forces to finish ISIS off in Mosul. The big prize would be if he could drag al-Baghdadi by the hair of the head out of the sand of Iraq and say this, the head of the snake has been decapitated. And the coup d'etat would be if Israel could get Russia to shove Iran back home. Thank you so much. Go away, and not set up a permanent base in Syria near the Golan Heights, which Israel is not going to tolerate. This is what's going on right now. All right. And if you look at this from a total biblical perspective, it is on the money, Ezekiel 38, 39, if Iran don't go home. If Iran don't go home, you're watching the formation of Ezekiel 38 and 39. Let's see how this thing plays out. We may be on the verge of watching Psalms 83 develop. Okay? We don't know. But it's certainly very interesting, and the media is clueless out there. Your mainstream media has not even talking about these three things. These three things are huge, and it's not on their mind. They got to defend their president, former President Obama. They got to protect his reputation. With Valerie Jarrett and their little soft coup, they're running down the street from the White House. Well, while they run their little damage control. And Chuck Schumer and Pelosi running around with their little damage control down their little place down the street from the White House, Trump is reorganizing the world. Globally, militarily, economically, politically, and strategically. And throw one more in for you, biblically. I'll be back with more current world events and how they relate to biblical prophecy. Wow. Are you serious? Stephen Ben-Noon's got a good video on this too. So check that out. God bless. Are you serious? Are you saved?